They commanded armies that broke the horizon. They built cities that outlasted their empires. They rewrote borders, religions, languages, and the very idea of what a human being could achieve. Some were philosophers, some were butchers. Most were both. This is not a list of the nicest men who ever lived. It is a list of the ones history could not ignore. 20 kings and emperors who didn't just rule their age, they became it. This is the scroll of legends. Prussia in 1740 was a cold, flat kingdom nobody feared. Frederick II changed that within a decade. Outnumbered, encircled, and abandoned by his allies during the 7 Years' War, he refused to yield, and somehow won. He played flute, wrote poetry, corresponded with Voltaire, and simultaneously built the most efficient military machine in Europe. He turned a second-tier kingdom into a great power. The German state, in many ways, begins here. Babylon under Nebuchadnezzar was the greatest city on earth. He sacked Jerusalem, destroyed Solomon's temple, and carried the Jews into captivity, entering scripture and fulfilling prophecy in a single campaign. He built the Hanging Gardens, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, allegedly for a queen who missed the mountains of her homeland. His reign lasted 43 years. When it ended, the world had a new definition of what imperial grandeur looked like. He called himself the Scourge of God, and Europe believed him. Attila united the Hunnic tribes, shattered Roman armies on both fronts, extorted gold from Constantinople in quantities that bled its treasury, and drove so many peoples westward that his campaigns alone accelerated the fall of Rome. He never took the Eternal City. A papal envoy, plague, and logistics stopped him at the gates of Italy. He died on his wedding night. The cause has never been established. Ashoka won the Kalinga War and looked at what he had done. Estimates put the dead at 100,000. He put down his sword and never raised it again. He converted to Buddhism, had his edicts carved into rock faces across the Indian subcontinent, built hospitals, planted trees along roads, and established protections for animals centuries before the concept existed. He is the only great conqueror in recorded history who chose, at the height of his power, to stop. His grandfather had conquered the world. Kublai chose to run it. As Emperor of China and Great Khan of the Mongol Empire, he ruled more human beings than any ruler before him in history. He welcomed Marco Polo, funded the Silk Road, and rebuilt Beijing as Khan Balek, one of the most sophisticated cities on earth. He failed twice to invade Japan. Both times, typhoons destroyed his fleet. He died in 1294, the last man to hold the entire Mongol world together. The Roman Senate called him Optimus Princeps, the best emperor. They were not wrong. Trajan expanded Rome to its greatest territorial extent, conquering Dacia and Mesopotamia in campaigns of legendary precision. He built roads, harbors, libraries, and a column that still stands in Rome, telling the story of his wars in 2,662 carved figures. He fed the urban poor through the Annona program. No emperor before or after combined his scale of conquest with his quality of governance. He built pyramids of skulls. Timur's campaigns across Central Asia, Persia, India, and Anatolia killed an estimated 17 million people, reducing the world's population by roughly 5%. He was simultaneously a chess grandmaster, a patron of extraordinary architecture, and the man who made Samarkand one of the most magnificent cities on earth. He shattered the Ottoman Empire at the Battle of Ankara and took its sultan prisoner. He died marching toward China. He never arrived. The world was fortunate. He could not read. He did not need to. Akbar ruled the Mughal Empire at its cultural and administrative peak, constructing a governing apparatus so sophisticated it would remain unmatched in India for generations. He abolished the jizya tax on non-Muslims, a radical act in the 16th century. He held formal debates between Jesuits, Hindus, Zoroastrians, and Jains at his house of worship. He was the most religiously tolerant ruler of his era. He was illiterate, and he was a genius. When Suleiman rode toward Vienna in 1529, the gates of Western Europe trembled. He commanded the largest army in the world, ruled from Budapest to Baghdad, and presided over the Ottoman Empire's golden age, with a hand simultaneously iron and elegant. His own people called him Kanuni, the lawgiver. He wrote poetry under a pen name. He had his closest friend and Grand Vizier strangled on suspicion of treason. Power, at its absolute zenith, always casts the deepest shadows. Peter I of Russia stood 2 meters tall and dragged an entire civilization into modernity by sheer force of will and terror. He traveled to Europe in disguise, learned shipbuilding in Dutch dockyards with his own hands, and returned to remake Russia root and branch. He built St. Petersburg on a swamp because he wanted a window to the west. He ordered his nobles to shave their beards and taxed them if they refused. He created a navy where there had been none. Russia entered Europe in a single reign. In 312 AD, Constantine saw something above the Milvian Bridge. A cross, a vision, perhaps a political calculation dressed as divine intervention. Whatever the truth, he issued the Edict of Milan and legalized Christianity across the Roman Empire. The consequences are still unfolding. He moved the imperial capital to Constantinople, convened the Council of Nicaea, and in doing so, set the trajectory of Western civilization for 2,000 years. No single administrative decision in the ancient world changed more lives. The Western Roman Empire had collapsed. Justinian decided to take it back. His general Belisarius reconquered North Africa and Italy in campaigns of breathtaking audacity. He codified all of Roman law into the Corpus Juris Civilis, the foundation of legal systems still in use across Europe today. He built the Hagia Sophia in 5 years, a dome that defied the engineering of its age and still stands in Istanbul. During the Nika riots, 30,000 died in the streets below his palace. He did not flee, he stayed, he won. On Christmas Day 800, a Frankish king knelt before the Pope in St. Peter's Basilica and rose as Emperor of the Romans. It was the birth certificate of Western Europe. Charlemagne unified the Frankish tribes, standardized currency and law across his domain, established cathedral schools that preserved classical learning through the darkest centuries, and built the template from which every European kingdom that followed would be cut. France and Germany trace their political origins to one man. He could barely write his own name. He reigned for 66 years and spent much of it telling the world he had won battles he had arguably drawn. The Battle of Kadesh against the Hittites, the earliest recorded pitched battle in history, ended in a stalemate. Rameses declared a triumph and carved in stone from Luxor to Abu Simbel. He fathered over 100 children. He lived to 90. When he died, his subjects had no living memory of Egypt without him. Some historians believe he was the pharaoh of the Exodus. The argument has not been settled. He conquered the Median, Lydian, and Babylonian empires within 12 years, and, remarkably, let every conquered people keep their gods. The Cyrus cylinder, a clay barrel unearthed in Babylon, records what many historians call the world's first human rights declaration. He freed the Jews from Babylonian captivity and funded the rebuilding of the Temple in Jerusalem. He is the only non-Jewish figure in the Hebrew Bible addressed as Messiah. He built the largest empire the ancient world had yet seen and chose to rule it with restraint. He unified China in 221 BC, standardizing script, currency, weights, and measures across a civilization of 60 million people, with a ruthlessness that bordered on the apocalyptic. He built the first version of the Great Wall and connected his empire with roads reaching its every corner. He burned books and buried scholars alive to control thought. He was so consumed by fear of death that he drank mercury, believing it would grant immortality. It killed him. He was 49. The terracotta army he built to guard his tomb still stands. He rose from a minor Corsican family to Emperor of France in 15 years. He fought more than 60 battles and lost fewer than 10. He rewrote the legal code of Europe, abolished feudalism across every territory he conquered, and introduced the metric system to the modern world. Waterloo ended him, but not the Napoleonic Code, not the Légion d'honneur, not the redrawing of Europe's internal map. Half the continent's modern borders can be traced, directly or indirectly, to decisions Napoleon made before the age of 45. He inherited a republic convulsed by a century of civil war, and he left an empire so stable it would endure, in one form or another, for 500 years. Augustus ruled Rome for 40 years. He ended the wars, rebuilt the city in marble, created the first professional standing army and the first urban police force, and presided over the Pax Romana, 2 centuries of relative peace that followed in his wake. He said he found Rome a city of brick and left it a city of marble. That is one of the few things a Roman emperor said that was entirely true. He was dead at 32 and had already conquered everything between Greece and the borders of India. Alexander never lost a battle. He founded over 20 cities bearing his name. His campaigns spread Greek language, philosophy, art, and science across 3 continents in a process. Hellenization that shaped the Roman Empire, early Christianity, and Islam. His death left no designated successor, and the largest empire ever assembled in a single lifetime shattered within a generation. The world had never seen anything like him. It has not seen anything like him since. He was born, the legend says, clutching a blood clot in his fist. He died having built the largest contiguous land empire in human history, from the Pacific coast of China to the borders of Eastern Europe. Genghis Khan united the fractured Mongol tribes, developed a military machine of terrifying speed and adaptability, and set in motion a campaign of conquest that his descendants would continue for another century. His campaigns killed an estimated 40 million people, roughly 10% of the world's population. He also connected it. Under Pax Mongolica, the Silk Road had never been safer.